We know everyone's already saying this team did everything right this offseason. They signed a power hitter. They revamped the bullpen. They brought in defensive specialists. But the truth is, there's a massive hole in this roster that nobody wants to admit. And the kicker? The solution might be coming from a place you'd never expect. Because while everyone is staring at the big-name free agents, and while the insiders keep recycling the same rumors, an insane proposal has started circulating behind the scenes. We're talking about a move that could completely flip the hierarchy of this rotation on its head. This guy, he's been one of the most underrated pitchers in the league. Last season, he put up numbers that would make any GM drool. But there's a catch. To land this guy, and the young prospect coming with him, this team is going to have to part ways with a fan favorite. A player who saved games, who became a hero in the clutch. A guy who seemed untouchable just 6 months ago. So, let me ask you something. Would you sacrifice a sure thing today for a future that could be dominant? We're talking about Joe Ryan and Cole Sands coming from the Minnesota Twins to the Baltimore Orioles. And yes, the proposed trade involves Jordan Westburg leaving Camden Yards. Dude, if you're shocked right now, subscribe to the channel because what I'm about to show you in the next few minutes will make your head explode. Because here's a stat that completely changed my perspective. Joe Ryan had an ERA of 3.04 in 25 starts last season. 3.04. Meanwhile, the current Orioles rotation. The combined ERA of the starters was over 4.2. Think about it. Baltimore just spent $155 million on Pete Alonso. Brought in Taylor Ward, who had an OPS of 870 in 25. Got Ryan Helsley to close games. But what good is all that offensive power if you can't hold the score in the early innings? Imagine this. Ryan arrives in Baltimore and immediately assumes the ace role, not as a force number 2, but as the guy. He's 28 years old, in his prime, and here's the detail nobody's paying attention to. His fastball gained an average velocity of 94 miles per hour in 25, 2 ticks above the previous season. The slider? 62% whiff rate when he throws it low in the zone. Now put him in a rotation with Shane Baz right behind. Baz, who when healthy, has one of the best fastball curve combinations in the American League. Suddenly, you have a top duo that can compete with any team in the league. And Cole Sands, that's the bonus everyone ignores. 26 years old, live arm, can be either a starter or long relief in the bullpen. In this scenario, the Orioles don't just solve the rotation problem, they dominate it. And about Westburg, look, it hurts. But the real deal is that with Colby Mayo ready to take over third base, and with the absurd amount of talent in the infield, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday, you can absorb the loss. This is the move that transforms a playoff team into a real World Series contender. Now, let's go to the dark side. Because Joe Ryan, as brilliant as he is, has a scary track record. In 2023, he finished the season with an ERA above 5.0 in the last 2 months. Why? Fatigue. The guy simply couldn't handle the workload. And here's the terror. Ryan has never pitched more than 187 innings in a season. Never. Baltimore needs 200 innings from their ace. Needs someone who will hold the team together in September when every game is gold. What if Ryan breaks down? What if that elbow, which has already shown signs of wear, can't handle the pressure of pitching at Camden Yards with championship expectations? Because then you lost Westburg. A guy who hit .265 with 28 home runs and 88 RBIs in 25. You traded guaranteed production for a medical gamble. And Cole Sands. In the worst case, he becomes just another average arm clogging up the bullpen without adding real value. Then the Twins are left with Westburg and Nate George, who's one of Baltimore's best prospects, and build a future while the Orioles are spinning their wheels with an injured ace. This is the nightmare that keeps any GM up at night. The truth. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Joe Ryan is not going to be Clayton Kershaw, but he's also not going to be a catastrophe. He'll give you an ERA between 3.5 and 4.0. He'll make 28 to 30 starts. He'll give you consistency, which is exactly what's missing from this rotation. Westberg leaves, but Mayo comes in. And yes, there'll be a production drop. Maybe you lose 15 to 20 RBIs over the year. But look at the other side. You finally have a predictable rotation. 1. Joe Ryan. 2. Shane Baz. 3. Zach Eflin. 4. Cole Sands. 5. Trevor Rogers. It's not the best rotation in the league, but it's light years ahead of what it was before. And in modern baseball, you don't need the best ace. You need depth. Because injuries will happen. Regressions will happen. In this scenario, Baltimore becomes a team that can win 95 to 98 games. That reaches the playoffs with confidence. And then, anything can happen. Now let me drop a bomb B on you here. What if the Orioles went even more aggressive? Check out this proposal I created. Orioles receive Joe Ryan, Cole Sands, Riley Ober, Twins, third starter, ERA of 3.5. Twins receive Jordan Westberg, Nate George, Toby Mayo, a Class A prospect pitcher. Dude, the comments are going to blow up with this one. But think about it. If you get Ryan and Ober, now you have TW proven aces. Baz becomes your number 3. You literally built a contender rotation overnight. Would the Twins accept? Probably not. But imagine the chaos, because here's what nobody's talking about. Lucas Giolito is still on the market. That's right. The guy who went 10-4 with an ERA of 3.41 for the Red Sox before injuring his elbow at the end of the season. And Baltimore is watching him too. So tell me, why would the Orioles trade for Ryan if they can simply sign Giolito without losing anyone? The answer, medical risk. Giolito missed ALL of 24 with Tommy John surgery. Came back strong in 25, but will he hold up for 180 innings in 26? Ryan is younger, more durable so far, and doesn't cost 15 to 20 million per year like Giolito will. But there's another name circulating. Framber Valdez. The Astros' lefty who still hasn't signed with anyone. A guy who threw 201 innings in 25 with an ERA of 2.87. If Baltimore gets Valdez, the Ryan trade dies on the vine. But if Valdez signs with another team, then Ryan becomes the perfect solution. Because, look, Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report suggests this trade, but the Twins have zero obligation to do it. They have Ryan under control until 2027. The guy's cheap, under $10 million, and they just lost Carlos Correa to free agency. Why the hell would they trade their ace for an infielder who'll cost arbitration in 2 years? Unless Minnesota really believes Westberg can be a centerpiece for a decade, that Nate George becomes an elite closer. Or unless they know something about Ryan's elbow that we don't. Think about it. If the Twins are willing to move Ryan now, before he becomes a free agent in 2028, maybe they don't trust he'll stay healthy. And then, Baltimore is buying risk disguised as a solution. Because at the end of the day, it all falls on the GM. Mike Elias promised an aggressive offseason. Promised the Orioles would compete now. He brought in Alonso, Ward, Helsley, Baz. But if he gets to spring training with the same questionable rotation, with Giolito signing elsewhere, with Valdez going to the Yankees, the fan base will demand answers. Because Baltimore has one of the best farm systems in the league, has money, has a competition window wide open. If Elias doesn't use the resources now, when will he? This Ryan trade could be the move that defines his legacy. So back to the question I asked at the beginning, would you sacrifice Jordan Westburg, a rising all-star, for Joe Ryan and the chance to build a dominant rotation? Because here's the real deal. In baseball, you don't win titles with maybe, but you also don't win by standing still. Baltimore is at a moment where they need to do something big. It could be Ryan, could be Giolito, could be Valdez. But it has to be someone. And if it's Ryan, I guarantee you one thing. Either the Orioles will be brilliant, or they'll be the biggest what if of the 2026 season. Comment below. Would you make this trade? Is Ryan worth Westburg? And don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell, because this story is just getting started.